Hello, and welcome back. Today, we're going to explore a story that delves into the unsettling nature of presence and what happens when the very fabric of our being starts to unravel. It's a quiet tale, but one that echoes long after you've heard it, about a woman and a switch that unmade her. Our story begins with Clara in the nascent glow of her new apartment. The afternoon sun filtered through the freshly washed windows, painted bright rectangles on the unmarred hardwood floors. Boxes were everywhere, a chaotic symphony of cardboard and packing tape, but for Clara, it was a beautiful mess. This wasn't just a new place, it was a new chapter, a clean slate, a chance to truly settle. She moved through the rooms with a lightness in her step, humming to herself as she unpacked a box of books. And that's when she saw it. Tucked away on a seemingly innocuous, almost archaic control panel built into the wall, a panel she hadn't noticed during the whirlwind tour with the real estate agent, was a single, plain toggle switch. It was old, probably original to the building, with a satisfyingly weighty feel. But it wasn't the switch itself that caught her eye. It was the label etched into the brass plate above it in ornate, almost accusatory script, "Do not touch." Clara paused, her hand hovering. "Do not touch," she murmured aloud, a small, curious smile playing on her lips. It was such an anachronism, so absolute. Her mind, ever the explorer, immediately conjured images of secret passages, hidden compartments, perhaps even a direct line to Narnia. A flicker of caution certainly crossed her mind. Why such a stern warning? But curiosity, that most human of impulses, quickly overshadowed it. It was just a switch, after all. What could it possibly do? With a deep breath and a slight shrug that betrayed a mix of apprehension and playful rebellion, Clara reached out. Her fingers closed around the cool metal, and with a soft, decisive click, she flipped the switch upwards. And then, nothing. The afternoon sun still streamed in. The distant city hummed on. No secret doors slid open, no alarms blared, no lights flickered. The world remained stubbornly, reassuringly the same. Clara waited a moment longer, a faint sense of anticlimax washing over her. She chuckled, a little embarrassed by her own dramatic anticipation. Well, she thought, that was underwhelming. She went back to her unpacking, the mysterious switch already fading from her mind. The subtle shifts began a few days later, almost imperceptibly, like the slow creep of shadows at dusk. It started at work. She'd be in the middle of explaining a concept or sharing an idea in a meeting, and her colleagues would just look past her. Not rudely, not dismissively, but as if their focus was just beyond her shoulder. She'd clear her throat, speak a little louder, and sometimes they'd snap back. "Oh, sorry, Clara, what was that?" But it happened with increasing frequency. Then her voice began to feel lighter, not quieter, not exactly, but as if the sound waves themselves didn't quite have the same density. She'd tell a story to a friend over coffee, and they'd nod politely, but their eyes would drift, or they'd interject with something unrelated, almost as if they hadn't quite registered her words, just the idea that she was speaking. "Did you hear me?" she'd ask, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. "Of course, Clara," they'd say, but their smiles didn't quite reach their eyes. The true chilling realization, the one that truly began to unravel her sense of self, happened in front of the mirror. She was getting ready for bed, brushing her hair, when she noticed it. Her reflection, just for a millisecond, lagged. She moved her hand, and the hand in the mirror followed, but with a barely perceptible delay, like an echo. She tried again, slower this time, lifted her arm. The mirror image lifted its arm, a fraction of a second later. Her breath hitched. She stared, wide-eyed, at her own reflection, willing it to sync up, to be immediate, to be her. but it just continued its ghostly, delayed imitation. The more she focused, the more pronounced it seemed to become. Panic began to set in. She rushed back to the old control panel in her living room. The switch, the do not touch switch. Her fingers fumbled, desperately trying to flip it back down. But it was stuck, immovable, as if it had fused into its new position, defying her attempts to restore what she had unknowingly broken. Her world began to shrink. Conversations became impossible. People would walk past her in the grocery store, bumping into her as if she wasn't there, apologizing to empty air. Her phone calls would go unanswered, or if by some miracle someone picked up, they'd hear only static or nothing at all before hanging up. Her voice, once clear and resonant, now felt thin, ethereal, audible perhaps only to herself. She tried screaming, but the sound felt trapped in her throat, a private agony. She was fading, becoming less, the edges of her reality blurring, becoming transparent. Days bled into weeks. She wandered her apartment, a ghost in her own home, watching the sun traverse the sky, watching the city lights come alive without her. The reflection in the mirror was now a full second behind, sometimes more, a haunting, taunting image of her own diminishing presence. One evening, a cold, drizzly Tuesday, Clara returned to her apartment building. She fumbled for her keys, her hand shaking slightly, and inserted it into the lock. But it didn't turn. The lock felt different. She tried again, harder this time. Nothing. And then she noticed the door was slightly ajar. Pushing it open cautiously, a wave of unfamiliarity washed over her. The faint scent of a different air freshener. The coat rack by the door held coats that weren't hers. She stepped inside, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Her furniture was gone, replaced. Her familiar, comforting living room had been transformed into someone else's. Different sofa, different paintings on the walls. Her books, her carefully curated collection, replaced by stranger spines. A woman, a complete stranger, emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She had a kind face, a comfortable ease in what was unquestionably Clara's home. She began to hum a cheerful tune as she walked towards the sofa, picking up a remote. Clara gasped, or tried to, a silent, desperate sound that didn't even vibrate her own vocal cords. "This is my apartment," she wanted to scream. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" She lunged forward, tried to grab the woman's arm, to shake her, to make her see her. But her hand passed through the woman's arm, a chilling, non-existent touch. The woman paused, her head tilted slightly, as if she'd heard a faint, distant whisper, or perhaps a change in the air pressure. Her eyes, unfocused, swept across the space where Clara stood. For a fleeting moment, a flicker of recognition, a shadow of something unreadable, crossed the woman's face. Then it was gone. She shrugged it, dismissing it, and sat down. Just then, a man walked in from what used to be Clara's bedroom, carrying a laundry basket. He glanced at the woman. "Everything all right, darling?" he asked. The woman looked past Clara, her gaze fixed on the man. And then she whispered, a soft, almost ethereal whisper that cut through Clara like a cold blade. "I thought she was gone." Clara stood frozen. The words hung in the air, a chilling confirmation of her worst fears. She was gone. Not dead, not vanished into thin air, but erased. Unmade. The switch hadn't changed the world around her. It had changed her place within it. It had severed her connection, slowly, deliberately, until she was nothing more than a ghost, haunting the edges of a reality that no longer acknowledged her. The woman, the man, they weren't seeing a ghost. They were seeing a fleeting, residual echo, a thought that had just begun to fully dissipate. And in that moment, Clara understood. The warning, "Do not touch," wasn't about what the switch would do, but about what it would undo. It was a safeguard against the ultimate erasure, the fading of one's own existence from the collective consciousness. She was unmade. Her apartment, her life, her very presence had been seamlessly rewoven without her. What are your thoughts on Clara's story? Have you ever felt unseen or unheard, even for a moment? Share your reflections in the comments below. We love hearing from you and building this thoughtful community together. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that make you think. Until next time, take care.